Hello, my name is Dr. Ben Newman, and I study coronaviruses. It's my job. Yeah, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 25 years now. Next question is from Brittany, and it's on a computer just back there. So let's see. Hello, I've been hearing rumors about that the vaccine could affect women's fertility. Is this true? No. If a couple plans to conceive in the next year, should they receive the COVID vaccine? Yes, you'll be more likely to be alive in the next year in order to conceive. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for your help. Hey, sure. So, what is this? This is another one of these really dumb things that kind of spun out of control. And yeah, so apparently this all started with a particular doctor who was talking about a protein from a different virus that is definitely involved in pregnancy. So, the protein is called syncytin. And it is a protein from a virus that would be related to HIV, but this is a virus that doesn't exist anymore. It's a human endogenous retrovirus, is what they call this. These are some of the viruses that come pre-built in our genome. So there are a lot of these retroviruses, HIV-like viruses. They're all a little bit genetically broken, so none of them actually work anymore. But this is the way this group of viruses works. When they get to a cell, they actually put themselves in the DNA of the cell, and then they continue to come back and grow from there, essentially forever, or until that cell dies, until all the cells that have embedded copies would die. So that's why diseases like HIV, it's almost impossible. It probably is impossible to actually fully get rid of the virus forever because it's probably buried in some DNA in some cell where you didn't know. When it happens that you have enough HIV that it happens to sneak down into some of your reproductive organs, then in that case, you can actually end up incorporating little bits of this virus into the material that will then go on to make babies down the line. And so, yeah, this is a thing that if you're just reading about this now, it seems like, wow, this is terrible, but it's actually okay. And this is a thing that has happened many, many thousands of times during human evolution. You can actually find some of these same endogenous retroviruses, is what we call them, embedded at the same spot in the DNA in various kinds of caveman DNA. There have been a couple of neat papers that looked at that and shown that, sure enough, we as humans have a combination of the retroviruses you find in a couple of pre-human populations. So a couple different Neanderthal populations, a thing called Denisovan hominids. These are all like pre-Homo sapiens, and yeah, we've got their literal DNA with all the warts in there. Anyway, one of these broken HIV-like viruses that's in there has a working part, and the working part is the equivalent of the spike protein of a coronavirus. It's the thing that grabs onto a cell and lets the virus go into the cell, just like the spike protein does. Doesn't particularly look like the spike, kind of works in a similar way, but it's not close enough that they would have anything in common or that they would be seen as similar by the immune system, for example. There's no strong patches where you have all the same amino acids in a row that like a white blood cell could learn to recognize, and then by attacking one, it would go out and attack the other. Anyway, yeah, this crackpot doctor suggested that until we can prove that there's no way that vaccinating against this totally different spike wouldn't change this other thing. And syncytin is actually very important in having babies. It will work. One cell will make it, and then it will fuse that cell almost as if it was the virus with another cell. And so, in doing this, you're fusing cells together, and this allows nutrients to go into the one cell and then just go right through that cell. And yeah, basically, this is how the baby gets fed. And you can show that if you knock this thing out, then like baby mice, they develop okay, I think, in the first week, and then in the second week, they just don't continue developing. They basically run out of food and they essentially starve and die. They stop developing, and yeah, they don't make it. Um, yeah, why would doing a totally different thing affect this? Like, why wouldn't eating peanut butter affect syncytin? Why wouldn't taking a walk under a pine tree affect syncytin? there are lots of things that could have it affect it. Like everything in the world could affect it, but none of those things do. And I think just the idea that it's sort of easy to smush these things together, like, oh, it's like the spike of one virus, and this is the spike of another virus. Why wouldn't those be exactly the same? The answer is because not even the spikes of two coronaviruses are anywhere near exactly the same. And we know this because there are all these different human coronaviruses. And you'll find that people have antibodies to probably all of the common ones. OC43, HKU1, NL63, 229E, those are the big common ones you find in people. And essentially everybody has antibodies to these things. Everybody gets infected by them. And you can get infected with more than one of these at one time, which tells you that one doesn't protect from the other at all. Yeah. And even though you've had these things, you will continue to get them again every 2-3 years, something like that. That's also been shown because they mutate, they evolve, same as everything else. And yeah. So it's a long way of saying that no, there's nothing to this. And the other side of that is that this neat thing called immunological privilege. So yeah, check your privilege. The parts of the body that make babies, like where the gametes come from, those are immunologically privileged, which means that the immune system is kind of excluded from those. It's the same thing with the brain, same thing with the spinal cord, all the central nervous system, same thing with the eyeballs. I'm trying to think where else, but yeah, like the uterus and the developing baby; those would also be immunologically privileged. This is how, as a pregnant woman, you're able to carry a baby that is not identical. At best, it has half of your DNA. Yeah, but it's definitely not identical, and half of your DNA means half of stuff that's totally foreign. And if this were anywhere else in your body, yeah, your immune system would attack the baby, yeah, as a foreign thing. But because all the reproductive organs are immunologically privileged, and this is male and female, yeah, essentially it doesn't. It can't. It's, yeah, it's all right. And so the whole idea that you can put a vaccine in here and it can have any effect in other parts of the body where you would make babies. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It can only come when you don't really know what you're talking about. And so I'm not saying everybody who's saying this is trying to mislead you. I'm saying that a couple of people that should know better started this thing off, and now everybody else is they're saying, well, somebody that I trust said this thing. And I think probably, I mean, trust is nice. I don't want to get rid of trust between people because it's really nice. But I think we probably trust more than we should when it comes to COVID-19, and we probably trust people that we shouldn't. And yeah, maybe that's even true in other parts of life. But there it is anyway. So that's yeah, there's no scientific merit to this idea, and it is just, it's a mean-spirited lie that is causing real harm to people. And yeah, I think the point that you made, if we want to be able to conceive in a year, should we get the vaccine? Like, yes, definitely, because you want to make sure you're alive in a year. That's like the first rule of having a baby. So you got to have two people that are alive usually. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. On those grounds, I would say there's no reason not to. Yeah. By all means, talk to your doctor. Yeah, this is not medical advice, but yeah, I bet your doctor's going to say the same thing I'm saying. So there we go. Thanks very much. And this has been Ask Dr. Ben.